Hey, remember me, Ken Pfalzgraf? I used to be a candidate for the Acton Dulce Unified School District Board of Trustees. Well, guess what? I won. If you voted for me, thank you. If you didn't, better luck next time. So, looking back now, since I filed in August of 2016, I had a couple months of hanging up my signs, straightening them up, wiping them off, keeping them clean, meeting people, making campaign videos. And then after election day, I had another month of wondering if I won, wondering if I lost. It was very close. There was only 6 votes separating me and the next candidate when the final tally came in. And very close election. And I've been told that in modern history that I got the most votes that anybody ever had, which means my next closest competitor was probably the next record setter. So, but once all the hoopla of the election was over and the getting votes and wondering who was going to win or lose, then came the realization, okay, that's all over. Now it's time to get down to business. And my daughter Kendra made a comment that made a lot of sense to me. She said, you know, these politicians, while they're campaigning and trying to get votes, they're making promises, they're telling you what they're going to do, what they're not going to do, and then they win, and you never seem to hear from them again until they need your vote again. Then they're back to shaking your hand, putting up their signs, and doing the things that us candidates do. Her suggestion was that since I had a good experience with my campaign videos about letting people know what was going on, that I should continue those and make those on a monthly basis to let the community know what's happening with me as a board member and how I'm doing towards the goals I set for myself as a representative of you. And those goals, once again, were to reduce fiscal dependence on out-of-boundary charter schools, to return district focus on our local students here, and to improve the agency brand in the educational marketplace. There was also another goal there that I didn't write down, and that was to improve my handwriting so we could read what I actually wrote on the board. So now that I've been on the board for a month, it's a brand new year, and I got a brand new haircut. Boy, I got my money's worth on this one, ooh, didn't I? So anyway, let's look at December 2016 and what it was like for me in my first month as a board member. Just prior to the election results being finalized, a local newspaper announced that the superintendent would be out on medical leave for the months of December and January. So I was sworn in by the district's assistant superintendent at the December 8th meeting after the board returned from the evening's closed session part of that meeting. We had an all in good fun chuckle during the oath at the without mental reservations part, but all went well and we got to the business of the board. First order of business was to elect the officers for the year. Board member Porter nominated me to serve in the role of clerk. What does a clerk do? The big thing a clerk does is to record the progress of a meeting, which includes how people voted on things, who moved things in, who seconded what, and all that type of thing. And to keep track of who spoke from the public and that type of thing, basically to record the progress of the meeting. The clerk also looks over the warrant register, which is the document that shows the payouts for expenses for the district. On this one, for example, you see waste management, trash service, you see custodial supplies, that type of thing. And most of the stuff is pretty nondescript. Every once in a while you get something that's a little bit more interesting like this. What is this? Pathways Academy Charter School for furniture storage. Wait a minute. We're paying one of our charter schools to store furniture? What's that? Maybe this one's worth a little closer look. So here we are on the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School list at California Department of Education site, and we're looking for our furniture storer, Pathways Academy Charter School. There it is. And looking at the details here, Pathways Academy Charter Adult Education, located at 17 1982 La Costa Meadows Drive, San Marcos. San Marcos is in San Diego County. Executive Director Megan Freeman. Wait a minute, didn't we have a Megan Freeman that was the Director of Education here in our own district until, what, last year? That's interesting. Okay, while we're at this site, let's see what else we got going on here. Community Collaborative Charter, what's that one? Community Collaborative Charter. Well, it's in San Marcos too. Same, what do you know? Same individual is the director, executive director of this one. So we've got Community Collaborative Charter and Pathways Academy, and we're paying somebody to store furniture where? In San Diego County? This is very confusing. This is the kind of thing a clerk looks at and wants to talk to the superintendent about. So I'll be checking in about this issue here, but the rest of it all looked pretty good, huh? Anyway, that's kind of what a clerk does. My very first order of business as a school board member at my first meeting on December 8th was the reopening of Acton School. How many of you knew that the mascot at the Acton School was a Longhorn? That's why I'm dressed like a Longhorn. And I've got my Acton Longhorns shirt on. 1980, yeah, that's the number of votes I got in my election. Is Acton School really reopening? No, there's preschool there now. There's TK there now. TK is a new thing, transitional kindergarten. It says for those kids that used to just miss the date to start kindergarten and have to wait a year to go, the state of California has come up with a plan for them. Anyway, over the past couple of years, there's been a couple charter schools there. One was AEA when it couldn't move into its Rye Canyon site. It spent about a year there. There's been some charter schools in and out, but we'll talk about that in a bit. And I think that there's a credit recovery program there now. The idea is there's an overflow at Meadowlark that's going to necessitate moving some of the kids to keep the class sizes low. So Meadowlark is really full. If you look at it, the parking lot in the morning and the afternoon looks like the 405. I'm not sure why more people aren't using the bus system. That's one of the things I'm going to be having a look at. I'm hearing from some parents that there are students leaving the charter at Agua Dulce and coming back into the AADUSD system by attending Meadowlark. I'm not really sure what the attendance is over at Agua Dulce at the Einstein School there, but that's another thing I'm going to have a look at. I'm not sure that we should be closing schools and then a couple years later rebuilding another one if the attendance is falling off at the charter school that used to be our school, and we're just kind of juggling kids around with maybe not enough buses. Anyway, those are things I'll look into. When it was announced to the community that Meadowlark would be transitioning some of its students to Acton School, and that in the interest of protecting Title I funds, not creating an illusion that test scores are higher or lower by segmenting out the populations of one school into what appeared to be another school. Some of the community members were torn between historic preservation of Acton School and about retaining and not diluting the effectiveness of certain PTO music and cultural enhancement programs that exist through Meadowlark right now. At the end of the day, what the board decided to do in 2 meetings was that the historic elements of Acton School be preserved by resolution, meaning the bell and the historic signage that said Acton School, a California Distinguished School. That the name Meadowlark would be incorporated into the marquee, that, you know, those new things that they have at school that has, that's digital and it tells you what movies are playing and how much the popcorn is. But at the end of the day, I think it was a win-win. The board was split on a vote of 3-2. I voted to incorporate the Meadowlark name into the Acton annexing for the upper grades. And that way I think we took care of the historic concerns, the administrative concerns, the funding concerns, the Title I concerns, and also I think we made the parents that are involved in the auxiliary groups happy as well. There are some other things that we're going to have to talk about later on about what's going on at Acton School. I'm not a proponent of blending credit recovery programs and all different types of students. I'd like to know that our students are there and that everything is stable and we don't just put up fences to isolate certain populations. But anyway, we'll talk about that more later. The second big issue that I faced in my first month on the board in December came at the second meeting when we learned that the superintendent had gone from being out on medical leave from December and January to actually resigning his post from the district. It was proposed that we would take the assistant superintendent and make that individual the acting superintendent. But then there was some idea that we would take the superintendent who had just resigned and develop a consulting agreement with that person. Myself and another board member chose not to vote in favor of that. In his statement to the public and the local press, the superintendent cited multifarious reasons, including health, as to why he was resigning from the district at this time. In the letter, there were a number of accomplishments that were listed about significant growth, lowered class sizes, a bunch of different things about infrastructure, beautification of campuses, but there's oddly nothing in here about the rampant charter expansion that fueled all of this. So at the end of the letter, the superintendent says that he's able to resign without reservation and feeling that the district is in a great place, possibly one it's never been in before, and that the Board of Trustees and a new administrator will be able to leverage the vast amount of human, fiscal, and social capital we currently enjoy. One of the local papers was quick to report that the school board voted to contract with the resigning superintendent as a consultant. It's not entirely accurate. First off, as you'll notice in this highlighted here area, two of the board members, including myself, weren't interested in this arrangement. And to summarize what the other members voted on was to have the legal team get together and draw up a contract and present it for some back and forth. But yeah, there's no contract at this moment. This resignation comes at a particularly inopportune time because we know that Carol Liu, state senator from the Pasadena area, had asked the Joint Assembly Audit Committee to have a look at some charter organizations and the way they were being managed across the state, and our own district is one of those people that's being looked at, as we see here. One of our own district charters, Assurance Learning Academy, is also operating as Learn for Life, is the target of one of these audits that Senator Liu has asked for. Oddly enough, we've had a seat-based charter in Senator Liu's area before that was shut down and moved elsewhere. The scope of audit and the objectives of the audit that are to include Assurance Learning Academy, which I just talked about, has 8 different objectives. And the final one is probably the most significant: review and assess any other issues that are significant to the audit. So what this means is, through the process of this audit, looking at geographical boundaries, legal requirements, fiscal information, oversight, is there financial stability, are there projections, all of that, this number 8 gives the auditor the ability to look at any charter that the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District has in its program. Finally, it's kind of funny. I keep a scrapbook of newspaper articles and clippings and my editorials and bits and pieces on the district's business and its charter school build up since I started going to the school board meeting about 5 years ago. And sometimes looking back on these things can be almost prophetic. We look here on one from April 2012, and we find we're talking about the same Learn for Life Assurance Learning Academy, ALA, that has triggered the state audit now in 2016-2017. And in selling this to the school board at the time, the superintendent that just resigned back then said that the school would not bring continuation students in from outside the district. I don't know whether that would include the continuation school at Acton School right now that we're going to have to think about in the future, that the students would have to be approved by the superintendent. Well, we know now that that's not legal or appropriate, and that the civil liberties people have looked into how people illegally screen students from access to charter schools. Interesting here too as well is that there was a concern back then of a hostile takeover where a charter would come into our district, open up and take away our students, but that's kind of become the model of what we've done to other school districts. So it's no wonder that some of the senators and go to bat for the people they're representing, and thus the legislative and legal actions against our district. And finally, I can't go without saying here, the district would receive about 3.5% of the charter's gross income, potentially $100,000 to $250,000. And at that time, he hoped it would save the district its salary. So in other words, the income from ALA is equivalent to the superintendent's salary. Well, it almost is, because now most recently it's hopped up into the range of $300,000 with the salary and a benefit package and medical and all that goes with it. Just an interesting look on the past, and to see that the same players are at play now and in a precarious position in the district. Just when you think you've had enough of my newspaper clippings and editorials and charter school information items, got just one more for you. This one's important. It is known as the Shasta case. In Shasta County, there was a homeschool program that had a resource center. These resource centers open up in storefronts and the like, and they're a place for the students of the home study program to go. This resource center was situated within the boundaries of another school district, and apparently the resource center did not have the permission of the district in which the resource center was sited, and so that school district took legal action against the homeschooling program. The court initially found that the resource center could operate at the site it was situated, but upon appeal, the appellate court found in favor of the school district that sued for relief. This case has statewide implications. I think it's being decided right now as to whether California Supreme Court will hear the case or not. But the findings of the appellate court are such that, to boil it all down, not only do you need the written permission of the school district in which one of your charter schools is cited for a seat-based charter, but also for any resource center, whatever name you may put on these little pop-ups and the mini malls and that. This has significant implications for this district, especially if we've got things situated in San Diego County and other counties. So on the resignation of the superintendent, surely you'll join me in wishing the superintendent a speedy recovery and the best of health, and whatever those other multifarious issues are, good luck with those as well. But it's time to get down to business, because a lot of dark clouds looming around now. Are we prepared for the state auditor to come here? During my campaign and in numerous newspaper interviews, I've asked for the superintendent, whoever that may be now, and the chief financial officer to go down the list of things that the state auditor is going to be looking at for each of our charter schools and report out on, in summary, that everything's okay there or it's not, and we might need some improvements. So let's just not sit around and wait for the shoe to drop or hope that everything's okay. Let's get on that report. I think the board and the public need to know what's coming. And we know that the outcome of the audit is going to impact the future roadmap of the district. Are the schools going to be allowed? Are they not going to be allowed? Are there going to be changes? And I think the big question here is, are there going to be changes in the fiscal benefit to the district? If there is, well, we need to get ahead of that, and we need to do that soon. Finally, the Shasta case. You know, I've said in past videos that the difference between the charter school findings in court in LA County and San Diego County have been very different. So things that would left to be let go in Los Angeles County are shut down in San Diego County. Now, the Shasta case has implications statewide. So right now, I'm not up for hiring another superintendent. I'm thinking it's probably time to take a closer look, familiarize myself with things that the other board members may know that I don't, just because I'm new. I like to look at a position control. I like to see what position in the district pays what program it's associated to, and if something were to happen to that program, what the effect on that position would be. So that's my report on December 2016, my first month on the board. If you've got any comments, make them below. Like, dislike my video. I would appreciate an email from you if there's something that you would like to me to look into, or you have a comment for me. I'm easy to reach. I'm KPAADUSD at gmail.com. KPAADUSD at gmail.com. Thanks for your time.